a South Asian Canadian channel.
And you're watching Channel Y.
The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media. Y Media has newspaper, midweek, radio, South Asian Pulse.
Hi, I'm Amitabh Bachchan and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
Hi, this is Amir Khan and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
अब हर दिन सुने GTA का #1 रेडियो स्टेशन FM 91.9
Television. You are watching Channel Y. Channel Y.
Prime Minister, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be back.
Online, SouthAsianDaily.com. The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media.
This part of the program is brought to you by Midweek Newspaper, published every Tuesday.
Hello everyone, my name is Jadoo and I welcome you on Channel Y. And today we have a very special guest with us. We'd like to welcome the leader of Ontario's Green Party, Mike Schreiner, with us. Mike, a very warm welcome. How are you?
I'm fantastic, and I'm really excited to be joining Channel Y today.
Thank you so much, Mike. Mike, why don't we start with this thing? Reports after reports, they have been suggesting that there could be chaos as far as the climate change is concerned. Do you think, are we doing enough here in Ontario or for that matter in Canada?
Yeah, no, I actually think the Doug Ford government is taking us in the wrong direction. And the unfortunate reality is he's putting our lives and livelihoods at risk by not addressing the climate crisis, but he's also putting our economy at risk. If you look at where the emerging markets are, is in the new climate economy. Ontario has a huge opportunity to create new careers and better jobs for people by developing, a made in Ontario electric vehicle manufacturing pipeline from minerals to manufacturing, to be a global leader in battery storage, to better utilize and make renewables lower cost. We have huge opportunities to be global leaders in bioproducts, biomaterials, clean steel, water conservation and purification technologies. But the problem is we have to have the political will to make the investments to crush climate pollution, to support new jobs in the clean economy, and to do it in a way that makes life more affordable for people by making electric vehicles affordable for them so we don't have to pay these huge prices at the gas pumps, to help people retrofit their homes and businesses so they can save money by saving energy. And that's what the Ontario Greens are pushing hard for at Queen's Park, is a real plan that delivers real solutions and addresses the affordability challenges that so many families are facing.
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned quite a few points, and one of the points was you just mentioned the electric cars. This has been the discussion right through Europe, states, and of course here in Canada and in Ontario. The PC party, their claim is they're supporting, electric vehicles. What's your plan, and how is it any different than any other party?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, the challenge we're facing in Ontario is that the Ford government has ripped up charging stations, eliminated the rebate programs to make electric vehicles more affordable for people, and that's actually hurt the province. So what the Ontario Greens are planning is, let's make electrified transportation affordable for people, both electrified public transit, and I'm very excited about what's happening in Brampton, for example, in my home riding in Guelph, electrifying their bus fleets. We're also putting forward a plan to provide people with a $10,000 rebate to buy an electric vehicle, to make it affordable for them. It costs me $5 to fill up my electric vehicle overnight at home, and even at a high-speed charging station, $10 to $15. So many people right now are spending over $100 just to fill their car up with gas. And so that's why the Ford government's, plan to get rid of those rebates was so wrong, because we want to make electric vehicles affordable for people. And if we can create more demand in Ontario for electric vehicles by making them more affordable, that will attract more investment dollars in electric vehicle manufacturing. U.S. southern states have attracted $25 billion in capital investment last year alone. Two states, Kentucky and Tennessee, $11.5 billion. Ontario's only getting a fraction of that investment money. And that's exactly why we need a plan like what the Ontario Greens are putting forward, so we can attract those investment dollars to create new careers and better jobs for people to stimulate our economy coming out of COVID.
Yeah, Highway 413, I think the PCs want to make this one a referendum issue. I've interviewed all the different leaders. Del Duca is clearly against this, Andy Horwath is against this, and I want to hear your position because the PCs are going all out for Highway 413.
Yeah, I'm the first party leader in Ontario that immediately spoke out against the Ford's plans to build Highway 413. I'm also opposed to the Bradford bypass or the Holland Marsh Highway. And the bottom line is, why would we spend $10 to $12 billion building a highway that's only going to save commuters 30 seconds when we should be investing that money in improving healthcare, making mental health more available and accessible to people, strengthening our education system, making post-secondary education more affordable for people. And quite frankly, we simply can't afford to pave over the farmland that feeds us, the wetlands that protect our drinking water and protecting us from flooding, especially as we see more climate-related weather disasters. So, I think Ford's plans to build highways, it's a waste of money. And it puts our livelihoods and our property at risk.
Okay, but there are many here, especially I would say, I know Mississauga, Mayor, she's opposed to it, but I've spoken to many in Mississauga. We are located here in Mississauga, but many residents do support that. Bramptonians, I've heard over and over again, they support that. 1997, that was the last time we built a highway. As much as I'm up for transit, but I think it's going to take some time to build the transit, and it's getting difficult for people to move around.
Yeah, that Highway 413, even if it's built, is still like 10 years away. And history has shown us every time we build a new highway or expand the lanes of highways, the gridlock just gets worse. I mean, look at the 401. We keep expanding and expanding it, and the commutes get worse and worse and worse because it facilitates sprawl. The Ontario Greens have another way of addressing housing affordability challenges in particular. Let's build livable, affordable, connected communities. Let's build homes close to where people work so you don't have to spend hours commuting and hundreds of dollars commuting every month. And those are the kinds of communities that will then, support local small businesses, that will make life more affordable for people, will provide people with more time with their family and friends because they don't have to commute such a long distance to be able to find an affordable place to call home. So the Ontario Greens, we have a plan. The Toronto Star called it a master class plan to address the housing affordability crisis that so many people are facing, and to do it in a way that helps end these long commutes that people have.
Yeah. So recently, I think just taking your point further, recently there was a strong proposal that why don't we build clusters around transit networks where there's high density housing which is affordable right close to the transit. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of having density along our transit corridors. It'll help keep property taxes lower because it means that we're better utilizing municipal infrastructure better. It'll create more livable communities. And then let's build gentle and missing middle density in the neighborhoods that are not along those transit corridors. Let's make it easier for people to build duplexes and triplexes and quadplexes. Let's make it easier for people to have secondary suites and basement apartments and laneway suites so we can increase the housing supply that's available without paving over farmland and forcing people to commute long, expensive distances, and can create new revenue streams to make it easier, especially for young families, to be able to afford to buy a home.
Parties like the Green Party at the federal or any other provincial level, when people go to vote, they want to make their vote count. And this is the question I'm sure you must be facing as well, that how do people make sure that their vote counts? Because PCs or the Liberals, they've mostly been here in power. Yes, NDP was in power as well, but Green Party, they're questioning, are you going to be in power or maybe a minority government and you could become the kingmaker just as we have Jagmeet Singh at the federal level?
Absolutely. You nailed it
Yeah.
with that question. I mean, look at
Yeah.
what the BC Green Party accomplished holding the balance of power in a minority government with the BC NDP. The PEI Greens, as the official opposition, of really showing people a new way of doing politics. And that's exactly what the Ontario Greens want to accomplish. I've talked to so many voters who are saying, you know what? Life is getting less affordable under conservative and liberal governments. Let's try something new. Let's have a new way of doing politics. Let's vote for a party that's going to bring new solutions to old problems, to address housing affordability. We're the first party in Ontario history to put forward a standalone mental health plan to improve accessibility and affordability of access to comprehensive mental health services. We're the first party to put forward a plan that crushes climate pollution while showing how we can create new and better jobs in the new climate economy. And so I say to people, you know, if you're not happy with the status quo parties and the old legacy parties, try something new, a new party that's going to put people before politics, that's going to has shown an ability, especially with the work I've done at Queen's Park, to work across party lines to put people first.
All right. Two questions on COVID before we, it looks like we're getting past the COVID. But how do you rate the performance of the PC party in dealing with the COVID in approximately 2 years?
Yeah, you know, initially I thought the premier got off to a good start in the early days of the pandemic, and we had all political parties working together. But the premier really started losing people when, one, he didn't make the investments needed to ensure that our schools remain safe, to expand hospital capacity, to deal with the different COVID waves, failed to deliver the protections that so many of our seniors needed in our long-term care homes, and then stopped following the guidance of the scientists and the public health experts. You know, there were a few times he would release plans and the doctors would be like, no, don't do that. You're going to create a huge problem. And, you know, sure enough, those explosions in COVID cases and hospitalizations happened, which led to Ontario being one of the most locked down jurisdictions in North America. And I think we could have avoided a lot of that if the premier had followed the science, had followed the evidence, and had listened to the public health officials. You know, the good news is that, you know, the case counts seem to be going down. Things are starting to get better. But some of the things that we learned from COVID, like needing permanent paid sick days, needing more investment in healthcare capacity, those things haven't gone away, and we need to continue to make those investments moving forward to improve people's lives.
I think this is the line that I really love. I think this is great. Improving people's lives. Everybody wants to improve the quality of life. If I, as a group editor of Y Media, when I do radio talk shows or TV talk shows, one of the things I often hear on radio and TV both alike is our quality of life. People who said, 40 years ago, this is what Canada was. 20 years ago, this is what Ontario was. This is what GTA looked like. But here we are. Our quality of life isn't improving. So what do you have to say? Why should people vote Green Party to improve their quality of life?
Yeah, it's a great question. And you know, first of all, I think it's let's build affordable, connected, livable communities. I think one of the biggest things that people want is they want an affordable place to call home. They want to live close to where they work, shop, play, and spend time with their family. They don't want to have these expensive long commutes anymore. They want to have a new career and a better job in the new climate economy. They want a government that's going to invest in public services, such as expanding access to mental health services through OHIP, ensuring that we have the hospital capacity we need and that people have access to primary healthcare providers. And the Ontario Greens, I think the thing that separates us from other parties, and why I'd really encourage folks to, give us a chance, is that we're a party that puts best practices, good public policy, evidence, honesty ahead of partisan politics. Like I always tell people, my job is to put people before politics. And I will always have, and Greens have demonstrated this, elected Greens across the country have demonstrated that, you know what, we're going to be honest with people about the challenges we face, the solutions to those challenges, and how we're going to pay for them. And I think that's at the minimum of what people need from our elected officials. And that's what Greens are committed to delivering.
Mike, player, talking to you. And before I let you go, anything else that you quickly want to add? And I'm sure as we move along, the elections are not too far now, June 2nd, but hopefully we'll keep talking more. Anything else?
Yeah, I would just say that first of all, it's a pleasure being on YuppTV with you. I love your channel and the just what you're doing in terms of getting news and information out to the South Asian community. And I just want to say that, you know what, regardless of what your political stripe is, let's emerge from this pandemic as a more united Ontario. Like, we're all in this together, and let's build on our diversity, the strength of our communities, so we can really make the investments we need to address some of the holes and gaps we saw, particularly in our social safety nets and our healthcare system during the pandemic. Let's all unite to fix that, to deliver a better Ontario that really improves people's lives.
Mike, thank you for your time, and we wish you all the best. Looking forward. Thank you. You take care.
Absolutely. Take care, and great to chat today.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye now.
You are watching Channel Y. Channel Y, a South Asian Canadian channel.